Priscilla Presley feels like a character that Sofia Coppola would write herself. A beautiful young woman finds herself in a cage made of Chanel and hairspray. So it was no surprise to me when it was announced that A24 would be financing Coppola's new film based on the memoir from 1985, Elvis and Me. And now that I've seen the film, it feels like Priscilla is less of a character created by Coppola and more of a persona manipulated by Elvis. Priscilla has been controversial since it was announced that it was being made. Many have decried the idea of portraying love that began between 14-year-old Priscilla and 24-year-old Elvis, acting as if Sofia Coppola isn't going to point out the flaw herself. Even Elvis's own children and grandchildren have come out against the film before it even arrived in theaters. Elvis's own daughter, Lisa Ann Presley, sent emails to Coppola right before her own passing in January of this year, saying, "My father only comes across as a predator and manipulative," and calling the script shockingly vengeful. It was so disliked by Elvis's estate that there's no music of Elvis in the film, and the film was unable to shoot on Graceland, the infamous mansion of Elvis. It also follows last year's Oscar-nominated Baz Luhrmann film Elvis, but where Luhrmann looks to speak to the iconography of Elvis, which it certainly fails at, but makes an interesting comparison with this film, Coppola seeks to meet the film's namesake at her point of view. This perspective seems to be the guiding force to its very measured and patient pace. The opening shot shows us Priscilla's bare feet gliding over the gorgeous shag carpet of Graceland, mirroring both the innocence of Priscilla and the alluring and slightly ominous feeling of Graceland. We soon find Priscilla, played by newcomer Kaylee Spaney, sitting in a diner being herself in her natural brown and blonde hair, until suddenly she is swept up into the inner circle of Elvis. We see how Elvis's natural charm and superstar persona, expertly played by Jacob Elordi, is able to sweep her off her feet, and they come together in a moment of sadness. For Elvis, he is coming off the loss of his mother, and is clearly desperate for that void to be filled. And the remainder of the film truly is just this dynamic alone. Elvis slowly building a persona out of Priscilla, one that has jet black hair, doesn't work, wears only blue, and keeps the fire warm, as he says to a hilariously repetitive effect. Moments of wanting something else outside of this doll-like lifestyle are immediately stifled and lead to increasingly violent and manipulative outbursts in Elvis. So the film becomes an increasingly quieter film with long scenes of nothing. We see Priscilla sitting in a white room and luxurious furniture doing nothing, waiting for her husband to return home to her. But when he returns, this longing is not met with release. Elvis is unable to meet Priscilla in this place of intimacy, both through the guilt of his spiritual morality that is ever shifting, and his vision of only seeing her as the porcelain stand-in for his mother. Slowly, Priscilla becomes aware of her place and chooses to escape for a while. She lands in Los Angeles and begins to become more of her own person. Here I feel the film rushes to the end and almost startles you with its ending. Yet we do see the returning motifs as she fades back into the brown and blonde hair that she had at the beginning, and wipes away the winged mascara, also mirroring the drugs she's introduced to her by Elvis. She's able to detox herself from him and finds her healthy self as she finds her own voice in the end, and rides off to Dolly Parton's I Will Always Love You. This quick ending seems to work against the nuanced first hour and a half, and it leaves you feeling a little empty in the end, and struggling to find the emotion in the victorious ending. Sofia Coppola never fails to impress with her immaculate costumes, in connection with both the characters and the surface level pleasures that we get from this gorgeously shot film. The star performance sits nicely alongside performances like Scarlett Johansson in her first Oscar-winning film, Lost in Translation. But what really surprised me here was the portrayal of Elvis. From the looming violence and the guns that are seemingly in every scene, or the lost and confused wandering of Elvis that leads him to philosophy, which is a really funny scene, and interesting takes on religion. Yet I still am slightly disappointed in its anticlimactic ending. But I still think that this is a really good movie, and I would recommend anyone that's a fan of Coppola or interested in Elvis or Priscilla's perspective. I would give this film a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And some films that I would like to recommend to go alongside Priscilla is the aforementioned Lost in Translation. I feel like this is the film that fits closest to Priscilla in Coppola's filmography, particularly Scarlett Johansson's character, where it's a very quiet and nuanced performance, and I think they work really nice side by side. And secondly, I'd like to say Elvis. It's not a movie that I'm particularly big on. I don't think it's very good, but it's really interesting to see how two different directors with very clear voices attack the same material, where Baz is going to find the iconography of Elvis, and Priscilla is focusing on like a smaller, more nuanced take on a character and a person. But all in all, I think it's really exciting that we have a new Sofia Coppola film. I think it fits nicely into her filmography, and I hope many go out and see it and are impressed with it. If you want to join this film-loving community, give a like and subscribe, and I hope you all have a great day.